Footy and Frothies preview time. Dag in, Barney. Still with you to get stuck into this. How are you travelling, David?
I love the peony.
And a bit of peony. Nothing like some peony. For some preview stuff. Feeling good?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the show after quitting last year in disgrace. Or not disgrace. Yeah, you're back now.
Oh, mate, things happen. It all got a bit too much, mate. Life was pretty full on there. Is what it is. There's no slight against you or all the listeners.
No, but, absolutely not. Of course, we all love you, David.
Everything became a little too much.
My dream is to quit and let you and Dana do it, and I can just rake into millions of sponsorships.
Yeah. There's millions that we get every week.
Yeah. I'll just be the overlord. But anyway, we have to preview some NRL. What do we talk about here? I don't know. We just preview shit.
How we think the game might turn out.
Oh, yeah, no, but is there like a
first try
thing? I can't even remember what we used to do. Supercoach, anything? We don't do that now. PCTC, that's good, yeah. Check out PCTC Tipping, very good. PCTCtipping.facebook or something, go there.
6 out of 8 for me.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Well done. Now it's 5.
5.
I got 0 from 2 last week. No
I think
good.
we had one person take out the round. So,
Really?
Yeah, first weekend.
I'd love to shout him out, but I haven't looked.
It was Jane, I think. But
Jane? Okay. Congrats
who
to
knows?
her.
Could be anybody. Could be just making stuff up. But I'm pretty sure there was someone who got 8.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, we'll just move on because we're just talking shit. First game kicks off on Thursday night. We'll talk Supercoach in a couple of weeks when it all starts getting into the weeds, as they say. But actually, I will ask you, were you happy with what you did? You hitting the boost button? You ready to go? Or you?
No, well, the only real problem I have is young Couchman I had in there as one of my backup second rowers. He's got an ACL now, so be looking for a cheap back rower or front rower to come into that position. I'll get a little bit of flexibility with some duels in that position there. But
Yeah, Metcalf?
Yes.
And?
I'll hold him for this week.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same. I had a little bit of an inkling I might try one more.
Might boost next week and have 3 trades next week. But, yeah, I'm really only looking for the one trade this week. Couchman, probably to someone like Hubner or...
my only trade will be
similar.
I decided to go with Jazz Tavunga in CT in the back row for some reason. I'm going to change that to Horsburgh.
Well, he's if you listen to the interview, I think it was about 4 days before game day, he said, I'm in a team where I have to do nothing but pass to the people outside of me and make my tackles. So that's basically what you're going to get out of Jazz Tavunga while he's playing hooker.
Yeah. So
he goes back to the back row, quite possibly. But
it's the cozy obvious, but I'm going to be a good boy apart from that, I think.
Yeah.
Do you have to cop? I do have
to
some Melbourne players, but I have some Titans players to offset. So
okay. Yeah, unless you have massive issues to begin the year, I'd be doing my best to minimise trades for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. But shout out to Joey, actually, my manager. I think he topped the scores in the Frothies Supercoach League.
It was Danon, wasn't it?
I know Danon did put a job on everyone again. Probably should get him back on the show at some point.
13-70 or something.
Hope you're doing well, Danon.
Yeah.
How's your leg, bro? Come back on the show. We miss you.
I got
People just turn up, I just say.
which is unusual for me because I normally start with about 900 to 1,000 and end up killing it at the back end of the year. So,
but it was very much a year for that, I think.
Oh, there were some massive scores that absolutely pumped up everybody's Supercoach.
15 plus was top.
There was about 10 blokes that went over 100, so a lot of people had quite a few of those.
My triple fullback treat worked at least this week, so happy for now.
Yeah, that'll be something I'll be looking at moving into trying to have at least 2 gun fullbacks in those 3 positions.
No panic on a young yet? Or are you just going to try and make the money?
He was 68 or something.
He gets to 500, doesn't he?
Would imagine so. Even if he gets to 400, there's 200 or 180 grand that you can cash out and go somewhere else. But
beautiful. Thursday night kicks off the night. I'm going to find his team list actually. Knights and Dolphins from McDonald Jones. For the Knights, no major changes actually. Just looking through this, Adam Elliott comes back onto the bench, and for the Dolphins, they welcome back. Let me look through here. Code Nicarima at 6, obviously, and Oren Keeley comes into the 11 with the injury. I think it's an eye socket to Finafiliaki, unfortunately. Mark Nichols back onto the bench. Ray Stone keeps the 17 spot. Kurt Donahue, interesting actually, Donahue, Kerr, Nichols, Ray Stone. What are you doing here, Barn? What are we doing in the rain in Western? It is actually quite heavy in Western Sydney, but
Was
for now we're
today.
doing
Who
McDonald
knows what
Jones.
it'll be like on Thursday? But well, for mine,
Hope no one's playing Allianz.
the
They're in a lot of
centres and
trouble.
the bench and the centre positions will go a long way to determining this match for mine. That's a exciting matchup with the centres from both sides here up against each other. It could go a massive way to deciding who scores points in that position. And I think the Knights may have a little bit of upside on the bench with the forward rotation. But they're the two big spots that I'm looking at in this game. I'm going with Newcastle just off the back of the Dolphins. Defence was not as I expected last week against South. They probably should have held out a couple of those tries that they let in. And I'm going to go Newcastle 1-12. If anyone's going to win man of the match, it's going to be Ponga. And I'm actually going to go for Dolphins to score first through Osako.
There's some coaches, I should say, when they come off a loss like the Dolphins did, they'll get them right for next week. And hate to say it because it's a cliche from what I've heard in this preseason, but we haven't seen Christian Wolf do that just yet.
Yep.
And they're coming off some massive issues up in Queensland, and all the best to everyone north of the border and Lismore and ever up there. It fucking sucks, and I hope you're all doing okay. So I just think there's not quite the week to be back with them yet, and I'd want to see some physicality out of them. Because I think the Tigers' run against the Knights would have sharpened them up a little bit in terms of physicality and picking out some concerns there in defence. And I hope they get that right. I'm going to go Newcastle 1-12. Ponga might be in supreme form. Might really just be ready to go this season. Go for him man of the match. First try scorer. Let's go with Dylan Lucas to find some space there because, I don't know, those props starting to feel old.
Yep.
You find an edge and a bit of footwork, he can sneak over and score a try there. Interesting matchup, though, because I really do hope the Finns bounce back. And we raved on about Pappy and the fullbacks, but Hammer's another one that just generally love watching play football. Friday night kicks off over in Go Media. They head home, and shout out to the Warriors social media manager for the good stuff they put out all the time. But they're back at home. The Warriors taking on the Seagulls here for the Wars. They don't make a change. Same 17 that went to Vegas. What we got there. And Josh Aloe comes in to start at prop for Takiahu, who had a knee concern. And same bench, Simpkin, Waddell, Bullimore, and Sipley. I cannot possibly entertain looking at the Warriors until they want to show some interest in what they do. Back at home, probably a sold-out Go Media. I think the intensity and the physicality is a bit better. But, geez, there's some speed and pace and a Travojevic or three in the team that scare me more than what happens with the Warriors. I'm going to go 13+ Manly, actually, at home. I just think they fired on every cylinder, and I think that's until we see change. I'm going to just stack on, hitch me wagon to them and back them. And I'm tempted to go with the Gumper rule this year until I see otherwise, is that you just don't back the Warriors. I've made a decision. Turbo is going to carve up again, just fullback central this week. Man of the match for him, first try scorer, the Sabra, out wide. What are you doing here, Barn?
Yeah, well, you said it after the review of Vegas that you'd written the Warriors were penciled in not to be tipped until shown otherwise, and I'm going with you. As you said, I expect that actually Manly might get a little bit of a test in the middle in this game because if the Warriors do have the pack to do it and being back at home, there should be a bit more physicality and a bit more passion shown out of the forwards going through the middle because they got belted by Canberra in the middle of the field. So they will want to make up for that, I would imagine. But yeah, there's too many strikes out wide for Manly. They normally go to the right with Tommy and they score over in that right corner, but I'm going to go to the left this time. I'm going to go with Hopawade to score the first try over in the left edge. And I'm going to go with Olakau'atu back, off the performance he put in last week. If he can do that again, you can see him storming over for a double, and I'm going to go with him for man of the match. Manly 13+.
Yeah. And then we, speaking of 13+, Panthers host their first home game at CommBank against the Chooks. And I'm sure when the draws were put together, there were some people frothing about playing this in round 2. Don't know if that excited now. It's $1.06 plays $9.50 looking at the live odds. Casey McLean's fit and ready to go with his time off, and the Bizza is back on the other wing. Alamonte chops back into the centre. Luke Garner back to the bench for the Chooks. No Radley on the quick backup. Faketi comes in and starts at lock. And Makisi Makatoa, remember him?
Yes.
Former Parramatta player, comes onto the bench. And Billy Smith is on an extended bench, so we might see him back in a team. I don't know what that might mean, to be honest. Whether, I don't know, he'll drop out.
Yeah, I don't think they could drop either of those centres on their performance last week.
That's very interesting where Smith fits in. That's about it, yeah, so no other real changes. Anything here for us, Brian?
Off the back of what the Roosters put in last week, they're going to be playing against a team that's probably a better defensive team than they played last week. So they may score 0 points this week coming up against this Penrith side. Penrith were a little rusty, obviously, in Vegas a couple of weeks ago. There might be a little bit of jet lag and whatever. So they might not start like Manly did last week, but I think by the back end of this game, Penrith will be well and truly into stride and be scoring points for fun at the back end of the game. McLean, after his head knock in 5 minutes or whatever it was, might end up with a hat-trick or something similar by the end of this game. But, yeah, they've got real big issues in the middle of the field, and if you're going to try and line up against anyone, you probably don't want to be lining up against Penrith in the middle of the field at the moment. How big was Moses Leota in that game against the Sharks? He was one of, like, just raging on his own through the middle of the field, and it can cause all sorts of problems for the Roosters in this one. Once the ball gets wide, yeah, I can just see every second or third time that the ball gets out there, there's going to probably be points coming from Penrith. So I'm going to go Alamotti first try. Cleary's the man, always is, man of the match. He could entertain Liam Martin. He was phenomenal. Another one that was just ripping and tearing for the whole 80 minutes up against the Sharks and made a massive difference. And he could tear that edge for the Roosters apart as well. But I'm going to stick with Cleary, man of the match. Alamotti first try, Penrith 13+.
In a world of teams where we don't know what defensive structures most of them have, Leota, Kenny, Smith, Sorensen, Martin, Yeo, Eisenhuth, Garner, to read out 8 names, whatever I just read. Throw in Papili, who's obviously not going to let anyone down, but how much trust is there in that defence? Like, it's like, that is ironclad. They know what they're doing, and that's without even mentioning the back line, without mentioning the best defensive half in the game, probably, in Nathan Cleary. So, like, yeah, what wall they're cracking here. 13+ Penrith. I don't think it's going to be... I can see this being like a 20-22 zip or 22-4 or something, in that they'll just get through. If it's wet weather, they'll get through the motions. They'll get through and make sure everyone's happy for next week. But that said, I hope they do put on a show. Nathan Cleary, man of the match. Probably just kick him around, kick 800 metres, just to knock them through and make sure they do get 2 points here. First try, you'll go a few Casey McLean. And maybe starting to expose a couple of cracks on that edge with Dom Young being less than interested. Saturday, 3 p.m, Charity Shield replay, which probably a very interesting game here. Dragons take on the Bunnies. No real changes for the Dragons, except Blake Laurie. Remember him? He comes back onto the bench with Couchman going out. That's the only change there. And Fletcher Miles comes into the centres for Whiten, who did cop a one-match ban. We didn't mention that. Bailey Bentley Hape makes his NRL debut to replace, so there is another cheapie if you're desperate, super coaches, to replace Tyrone on the wing. The rest looks pretty much what you'd expect out wide. Yeah, no Lewis Dodd. The halves are the same as before. I think if South will have to step up a level to match that. Dragons take more benefit out of that Canterbury game than South will take out of the other game.
Yep.
I'm going to go with them to get their first couple of points on the... It's going to be a long season for South. We know we'll have to work from. I'm going to say that it starts here. 1-12, Souths in their rematch. They'll match them in the foot well enough. If not, slightly outmatch them. Gutho and Cook will get in and do what they have to do, and Jacob Little will provide the spark needed to even offset their lack of halves until they really have to play proper first grade. Why not go Gutho man of the match? It is what I would do if it was Parramatta and get into that system. Moses Sully, maybe a try assist from Gutho for first try off a bit of a shitbag performance last week, to be honest. But
You did say Souths 1-12.
oh, sorry, St
Dragons,
George.
yes.
St George, sorry.
Yeah, I spent about 5 minutes looking at this game and changed my mind 3 times. South Dragons. Whitening out for mine's a big one. That'll be an area that the Dragons can target and that edge on the right-hand side, which is... is that Sully's edge? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, he's right. Isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Val's on the left. But I ended up settling with the Dragons. Just think there's probably a little bit more skill out wide with some footwork and being able to, create opportunities out there. And for mine, it comes back to Val. I think Val has a big game in this one. Val Holmes caused a lot of issues on that edge. Scores a try, maybe sets one up as well. And hopefully he fixes up his kicking, his conversions for anyone who owns him in Supercoach. But, I'm going to go with the Dragons 1-12. I think it'll be close for a while, but the Dragons will probably look pretty comfortable by the end of it. Dragons 1-12, Val Holmes, man of the match and first try scorer.
We head up to Townsville for the 5:30 game. Cowboys hosting the Sharks. Tamalolo comes back in. Oh, he's listed on the bench. And as is Jake Clifford, but apart from that, Jeremiah Nanai has been dropped with Kaya Durnan coming into the back row from former Leah Leopards forward to come back for the first time in, I think, 3 or 4 years there. And no changes for the Sharks. You get what you get, and you don't get upset. Barn, who's winning?
Cronulla. I'll be very disappointed if they don't. I do think you will see a better performance out of the Cowboys. Obviously, there's going to be a whole heap of screaming and effort being put into the defence. The coach will lose his mind, tell them that if they concede more than 20-odd points, I'm going to sack the lot of yous or something similar. But they probably will concede.
It's funny because Payton, it's
points.
like he's always just picked out the big name guy and just gone, that's not good enough.
He was horrendous, though.
Yeah.
He was right up there. He could have been close to being the pop plan of the weekend, to be honest. But Cronulla should have more than enough through the middle of the field to well and truly control the way where the ball's positioned and how the play comes out for the majority of this game. Add in some strike on the outside edges with the likes of Mulatalo, Talakai when he comes on, Iro, Ramian, who had a fucking fantastic game in Vegas, Ramian. So that's exciting for Sharks fans. But I'm going to go Cronulla 1-12. I think they may just back off at the back end of the game and it'll be a bit closer than it probably should be. I'm going to go Nakora, man of the match. I think he'll really line up the new guy that's been brought in to take up Nanai's spot. And I think they'll take a trick off Manly and target that edge with Purdue, the Lee Leopards back rower and Dearden, and really put a lot of pressure on there with Nakora. And I'll go first try scorer Ronaldo on the left edge.
Yeah,
it's got to be there.
Screams low. No one had it.
Had an absolute shocker. Was put off his game against Penrith. He'll have a point to prove, I would imagine, in this one.
Yeah, and many multis and a weekend of fat multis were not had Ronaldo in it, and I'm suspecting he'll score first. I'm going to go with you on that. In a world where I keep saying that, in a world.
Which world are we in?
I'm narrating
Inception.
a fucking movie trailer. They in a team that didn't show a lot of physical prowess last week. Adnan Fanel-Blake has dominance written all over him. I think he's going to have an enormous game. So we have him man of the match. I think 13 plus. Open the gates, let him get in and score some points. Hopefully good blowout. I think Trindle and Nico can use the big clean out, and hopefully they both have a few try assists and get this team up and going. Speaking of multis that did not go well last week, shout out to Flobs, who actually got a winning multi. It paid 11 grand.
11K, yeah.
He cashed out at $221.
Oh, Jesus. And that was the same game multi too, wasn't it? 10 legs or something? Whoa.
Key of the week.
Oh, sorry, I just had to play it for him because, yes, what an effort to put together a 10-leg winning multi. That, if you're going to put a multi on everyone, just let it ride. Otherwise, don't put the bet on. Just have a bet. Just have a try score a bet. Just have an anytime bet. No. Anyway.
I managed to land a $190 multi.
Yeah, you cleaned up this week, didn't you?
Yeah, 5-leg margin multi, which was good.
I reckon everyone put one on, and I got one. I actually got my first one all year. It was 50-1, double for Pappy, Carey, Katoa, and someone else. It was very nice to start the year. All right, we've got Brisbane and the Raiders down south up next to finish off Super Saturday. For the Raiders, the home team, Tapane suspended, so Puppy starts, Morgan Smithies starts lock, and Nicholson comes onto the bench, and Albert Hopewade comes in to cover Savage's one-match ban. No changes, as you'd expect. For Brisbane, I don't see a lot of... Well, actually, I think this will be a good game in that there'll be some... Coming off that, there'll be physicality, and Canberra will be up for the contact in the first 25 half, and potentially have the players to expose what we haven't seen from Brisbane out wide. I don't think it happens. I think Tapane is a massive loss, and Brisbane will get the ascent eventually, roll over him, and probably going to go... Going to go 1 to 12 out of respect, but 13 plus beckons with the fittest, strongest, fastest, scariest, potentially side in the comp. House and Carrigan, man of the match, take your pick. I don't know which one of them. And first try scorer, Jesse Arthurs. Ben Hunt's going to do good things. Reynolds going to do good things. Walsh can do good things. It's a very hard team to split up right now. Hopefully they put enough pressure on them we can see where they need to work and what's going on next. And there are still that cracks in the... If you took those two pillars at the front out, you could argue Canberra have a better forward pack. But when the pillars are the two best you'll find, it's a tricky argument.
Yeah, I think they'll be able to hold them until the rotation comes on, and then you'll start seeing Brisbane really bending that line through the middle of the field. I just don't think Canberra have the pace to match them out wide. I think there's going to be too many times where they get split. Someone going through half a gap with too much pace, and they're not going to be able to chase them down. So, I just think Brisbane create too many opportunities towards the back end of both halves and probably win this game 13 plus. I'm going to go with Walsh first try scorer, and I'm going to go with Carrigan man of the match to carry that burden when they go through the interchange.
Absolutely. He might be a special for Daggy M this year. He might be real hard to shake.
Hassel will probably give him some trouble.
Exactly. 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Eels host the West Tigers, who are starting favourites, unfortunately, in this one. For Para, though, we've got Jordan Samrani debuting on the wing. And there is another couple of debutants as I scroll down here. Sam Tuiviati on the bench. Sean Lane's also back, which is good. Note Kelma Tuolangi, who has been sent back to the nursery after his pot plant performance last week. And no Charlie Geimer either for the Tigers. They're welcome back. Appy, good man. Dream Buller and Stafford Tower comes in, which pushes Hope, Fatape, and obviously Tristan Mason out of this. Heath Mason out of the side. Tristan Hope was the other one. 3 big ticks, I would suggest, in a way, for the Tigers. But what are we doing, Barn? Put some sense into this one.
You can't back Parramatta off the performance from last week. Even if their defence is twice as good as it was last week, they probably still concede 30 points in this one. So maybe not 30. We'll go 20. They probably might get close if they were able to create a few opportunities. But I think the Tigers will be in the game for longer. I just think they'll be able to control the game for a little bit longer through the middle of the field. But
it has to be a statement game in a way, doesn't it, for like your Luais and Appies?
You would assume so. I think it's going to be for Galvin, for mine. I think Galvin takes control of this game with a bit of running in and around some broken defences on the edges. Really target the halves for Parramatta and be able to put some footwork on and maybe score a try and set a couple up himself. So Luai gets them around the field, hopefully well enough, and the Tigers with an edge, I think, just through the middle of the field. Toa back for mine is a big one, and I'm going to go with him for first try scorer, and Galvin man of the match with the Tigers 1 to 12.
I'm tipping Parramatta because I know what would happen if I tip the Tigers. So, Parramatta 1 to 12. That said, Appy man of the match. I think his inclusion's going to straighten up and change a few things this week. I'm excited for it. First try scorer. Jarrell Skelton. Yep. Do it 2 in a row. But look, as you say, I can't tip Parra off last week, but I know what happens as a Tigers fan if I do that. So, yeah.
Superstition. How good is it?
Dogs and Titans. This is an interesting one. Wraps us up 6 o'clock Sunday. We haven't had that for a bit. Where the Dogs start favourite at Belmore. No changes, I suspect. Josh Curran's back, of course, which pushes Harry Hayes out of the team. Kurt Mann is still named at lock. For the Titans, I'll do the old thing because it's their first game of the year. Kia Keeney at 1, Alofi, Khan, Pereira 2, Kelly, Sami the centres, Fafita on the other wing, Brimson and Campbell in the halves, Big Mo, Fodawaker and RCG locked the props. Farrell's at 9, Cleese Haas, Bo Fermo, Tino Fasil Mali at 13, happy days. Chris Randall, Dave Fafita on the bench, Jolliffe also on the bench, and Brock Gray comes on to the 17 spot.
Dave Fafita on the bench, interesting.
Very interesting lineup for Desi. And Titans have an opportunity this year. If teams aren't going to be up for it, they've got as good a forward pack as you'll find anywhere in a comp. So they can bully teams, and I suspect that's where they're going to head with Des. So this is going to become a bit of a grind. So I'm very interested to get your thoughts because I want to think about this a little bit more now I've said all that.
Yeah, I think they probably will be able to push this Dogs pack around a little bit, especially at the start of this game. I've harped on about it a couple of times now. I just like the way that the Dogs are able to cover the asses of blokes that miss that first up tackle, and I think they may be like I can see points where the Titans absolutely scared the shit out of the Bulldogs in this game, and like just completely break them open, and it looks like they're going to run away and score a heap of tries, and someone will come and make a cover tackle, and they'll drag them down inches from the line, and then they'll be able to reset and keep them out for that set, and then get the ball back. In a war of attrition, I think the Dogs outlast this Titan side. They may look better physically, and they may create more opportunities during a bulk of this game, but I think at the back end of this game, the Dogs will wear them down and be able to just score that extra try or two at the back end of the game. So I'm going to stick with the Dogs 1-12. I'm going to go with Burton. I think his kicking game might be the difference in this game.
It needs to be, I think.
He hasn't really brought out the spiral yet, but I think if it backs to the wall, you might see that come out a couple of times here and create some scoring opportunities off the back of it. And I'm going to go with Kick, our first try scorer. I really like the way they used him this week, and I think they might actually use him up a little bit more as a ball runner this week than a decoy. So
it's a very interesting matchup. You talk about the Titans forwards. There's not a lot of size in the Titans backs, which against a big outside bodies of basically the whole backline bar young Blake's not
Tilly
huge.
and kick out.
And then throw in the bench size. Philip Sammy and Brian Kelly are larger humans, but the rest of them are slighter fellas, and I think that's where the cracks are. The forwards match up pretty well. Dogs 1-12. A margin interests me a little bit because I think you might get a decent price on a margin taking 1-12 for this game.
Either way, yep.
Yeah, for Bulldogs, but you might, if you get $3 for that, I think it's worthwhile because they'll stay in the game or at least score enough points to be in this game. The Titans, excited to play because they have lots of things we want. Outside back pace, explosive players, AJ Brimson, I always want
happy
him.
to take a gamble.
Yeah. And like we said, Big Mo, Tino, etc., etc. Steve Crichton, man of the match. I think he might put a bit of a stamp on this. But you Connor Tracy and Crichton's size players of the world might just prove to be the difference. What's got you frothing, Barn? Let's take this home.
Well, obviously, I want to see my boys play. Going around there, I think they can probably win pretty comfortably. But there's
not
quite a few
game,
lopsided games in here. I think if Canberra play to their absolute potential, that could be an exciting game to watch. I think there's some points in this Dogs-Titans game. I'm excited to watch these two halves, that will take chances, happy to throw the ball around and try to create as many opportunities as possible with some size as well, with Tino and Dave Fafita on the back of that. I think you could see a 30 plays 32 or something, the likes of that, to end this round. And I think that could be a very exciting game of footy.
Yeah, Sunday's got me frothing. You stole me thunder there, but also Look, it is a replay of Spoon Bowl, so we've got to get around it, and it may give one fan base or supporter base a little bit more hope than the other. So very interested to see how that play out. I generally hope Tigers get the shit together and can get rolling, but it wouldn't shock me to get done and we're just back in the mud again. Also, actually, just saying those Vegas teams come back, because there is a little bit of scepticism about how teams come back from Skate.
Yeah.
Just see if Penrith do the job, just to see if Cronulla can do. Like, they should, and they're $1.20 and da-da-da, but they're not living, breathing certainties to put scores on either. So just seeing how that comes through is also interesting. But we will do this all again, Barn. Anything else?
Well, no, not for me.
Thank you, son. We will be back this week to review all. Back next week to review it all. Check out all our Instagrams. Check out PCTC tipping comps, and Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, etc., etc., etc. I'm gonna have a beer. Bye.
Good night.